Well, Ann and Darren, good evening. Another case of workplace violence here in Connecticut. As you mentioned, this one at the hospital for special care. Really some scary moments here for really not moments, really for a couple of hours. We're going to show you the scene, what we're seeing right now. We're starting to see the police presence start to thin out a little bit, although you start to see some of these SWAT vehicles like the one that's coming right now start to leave. There was a massive showing of police around here. Let's tell you how this unfolded. They're going to show you video from earlier tonight. Now, according to police, New Britain police, they get a call around 5:53 this evening. There was an active shooter in the building. Police say it was 65-year-old Victor Valcarcel. Now, he allegedly opened fire on Lynn Trask and Robert Barucci in the lower level of the hospital. Now, he was later arrested without incident at his house at 37 Helen Drive. The hospital vice president tells us just a few moments ago that his possible targets were two maintenance supervisors.
A disciplinary dispute today, so he was currently employed.
Can you elaborate on that dispute?
At this point, I really cannot. Obviously, our focus has been on the safety of our patients and our concern for our employees, so that information is not readily available at this time.
The hospital did go on lockdown. The vice president there, who you saw, did tell me that there is a protocol for such things. Obviously, as we've seen workplace violence cases across this country, all major institutions really have some sort of plan in place, unfortunately, for scenarios like this. Now, as far as the two victims are concerned, both were taken to St. Francis Hospital in serious but stable condition. They were tended to by doctors here at the facility until they were transported to Hartford at St. Francis. Ann and Darren.
Jamie, we know that the alleged shooter was in a meeting, some kind of a disciplinary hearing. During this news conference, did they address how he got a gun inside the hospital and what they're doing to check on this?
Well, and not to correct you, they weren't using the term hearing. It was some sort of disciplinary meeting. When we asked exactly what that was, they weren't able to give those details just yet. Now, to answer your other question about the gun, I did ask if he was a current employee or a former employee, because obviously that comes to mind whether this was a termination hearing. That was never uttered in the press conference today, but he did have access all throughout this hospital, so presumably he is allowed to walk in this facility, basically go in many places, not being checked for any type of weapons, because apparently there never was any sort of history of violence with this individual, with Mr. Valcarcel, and that's why a weapon was brought in. They did have recovered a weapon. They have not specified exactly what that weapon is.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much. We'll get much more insight into this tonight at 11.
All right, Jamie, thanks. For folks who live nearby this hospital, it has been a scene straight out of the movies.
People in one New Britain neighborhood reportedly saw the suspect being handcuffed by police. News 8's Bob Wilson continues our team coverage in New Britain. Bob?
Yeah, Victor Valcarcel was arrested just up the street here. Right now, the police still have it blocked off, and if you look up the street, there are still major crimes here where he was taken down in front of 37 here on Helen Drive. Now, the way police tell it, they say that they did take him into custody without incident. He didn't put up a struggle, didn't put up a fight. We don't know whether or not the handgun was recovered here or the firearm was recovered here or at the hospital. However, they say he did make it out of the hospital and was able to weave his way through the neighborhoods and was able to come here to this street. Now, we don't know whether or not he lives here, this is his address, or he was still just running from police trying to elude them, but this is where they took him down, and it was a crazy night all throughout. The SWAT teams buzzing through this neighborhood, the helicopters searching overhead, the spotlight combing back and forth in through the bushes, in the backyards. A lot of people have their doors locked tonight. We would go up to try to knock on a door to get some information from people. They were scared. They didn't want to open up the door. People looking out through the blinds, and tonight we found one man who lives just a couple doors down, and he says he doesn't know who lives there. He says those people really keep to themselves.
I don't really know the guy. Like, even knowing that we have somebody that is over here as a suspect, that's a little scary now.
What do you think? Yeah, he's a couple doors down from you.
Yeah, and that's like a little scary right there.
People here pretty much caught off guard, very, very on edge tonight, even with the police presence here and the SWAT teams that were coming through here. They say they're glad to know that it has ended for tonight. And just in the last 5-10 minutes, the helicopter stopped flying overhead. But police still in the neighborhood and people still keeping their doors locked, peeking out through the curtains every once in a while. I'm Bob Wilson reporting live in New Britain, News 8.